I was able to work, while he was living and able to link up even at 89 years old, to be able to walk through the Pentagon and do that.
We heard about that for a long time.
Yeah.
He was
That's
proud of
okay
you.
though. We enjoyed it every time.
Yeah.
We really did.
Well, to me, and what I was going to echo, you can see it up here, really the legacy of selfless sacrifice that we see throughout the family line there. With the brothers, him, Ray, and Bill, just the whole family of service when the nation called them and serving, in addition to my grandfathers on both sides, with John McClure and then Robert Corneal, just being able to kind of grow up in the company of those heroes. I consider him one of those heroes. That legacy, and you can see it with the Baltimore Fire Department as well, just serving, pouring in his whole life as a public servant. And so I feel very fortunate and touched and close with him because he supported me all throughout my Air Force career. I always heard the stories about him, riding around on a motorcycle. And, there were a couple crazy accidents, I guess, that happened with B-24 bombers back in the day that he talked about a few times. Hearing the stories with Grandpa, John McClure, and how his adventures with the Queen Mary and everything, of how they traveled back. Heard a little bit about his stories, mostly in England with his service, and then on into Germany when he did that, kind of as the war was wrapping up. But I always had that connection. He was all about airplanes, all about going to air shows and talking about it, and just always my biggest supporter. So I feel very, very fortunate for that. I also feel fortunate I was able to come up. So thank you again for
Thank you for
together.
coming. Seriously, thank you.
Really appreciate it.
Yeah, I have something I'd like to say. My mother was his brother. My mother's side of me. And today, there's only 3 of us cousins, and that is Ricky, me, Walter back there. But Uncle Rich was a fine uncle, just like Ray was to me. But I did have one disappointment with Rich. I'm going to share that with you. He said to me, Wally, I could write a book. He said, I've got all these stories. He said, Rich, Uncle Rich? I said, well, why don't you just get a notebook and just get a pen. Go down in your little man cave and just get some ideas. Just write your ideas down one by one by one. And then take a page and just write about it. And then skip a page and take another idea and write about it. I said, when you get all that done, then give it to me. And I said, I'll put it on the computer and we'll put it all together. And I begged him almost every time I saw him. I said, how's the memoirs coming? I haven't gotten started yet. So, this is a lesson for everybody that's sitting there. Write down your memoirs. You don't have to do a full surprise later. But your family is going to want to know something about you. And I'm going to tell you something right now. I have volumes. I even write about my dreams. I know that may sound crazy. And I don't write every night.
You in charge
But
of those?
sometimes I'll have a vivid dream. I get up in the morning, I've got my little notebook, and I write down just 3 sentences. This is what I dreamed about. And it's wild. You start seeing the same things in your dream. But, if you write down something about your life, you'll be surprised what that means later on. You may put stuff in your computer now, or when you die, your computer, it's probably going to be destroyed and thrown away. But a notebook is something that can be brought out from the archives of the family and say, just like a photo album. How many photo albums like that are going to be sitting around for the family? My mother did that for each one of us children. We have a photo album. And this sounds crazy too, but down at the foot of my bed is a cedar chest. And that album is open. And I've got a magnifying glass down there. Every day I turn the page. And I look at this, and I see my family, and I see my parents. I start looking for things in those pictures. Oh yeah, I remember that chair. Oh, I remember that table. You'd be surprised what all this stuff means. So that was my disappointment with your father, that he didn't just take the initiative.
I wish he had too.
Because some people don't know where to start. It doesn't matter. Start anywhere. Just get your ideas, write them down, and skip a page. And if you remember something, oh yeah, I forgot that. Well, go back. You've got a blank page sitting there. And you add that on too. And then maybe later you'll tear the pages out and put them in chronological order. You've got a life memento there. Because these are stories that he took with him. And we aren't going to know him now.
Right.
Other than that, he was a great uncle, and I loved him too.
when I sat down and wrote what I did for today, there was so much more that was popping into my head. Audrey was sitting there trying to decipher my writing, and I'm sitting there looking over her shoulder, and I'm telling her, that word's not this, is it because I don't write it. But anyway, there was just so much more that kept popping into my head, but I knew we didn't have time to do it because of the time limits. But the life that Dad and I shared from the time that Audrey and I got married, and in the later years, we were always doing something. We went out on the John W. Brown for that 6-hour trip, which is the Liberty ship that was built here in Baltimore. And Dad was a patron of that. We visited the Smithsonian Aeronautics Museum, and we got a million pictures of those planes too. But still, but so much. And what Wally said is true. It's a shame that so much of what has happened that I don't know. And hopefully, your side of the family knows a lot, so we'll have to bump heads on that. But so much is lost when things aren't recorded there.
Well, I have one other thing I would like to say. I was so impressed with that chronological biography that I went up and asked the Reverend afterwards. I said, "Can I have a copy of that?"
We have one, if you want one.
And he gave
We
me
printed
that.
some.
Oh, he gave
Oh,
you
okay.
yours? That's fine.
All right.
That's fine.
Because we printed more.
That's fine. No, I printed out a couple copies.
Yeah, we do.
If anybody really wants it, we'll ship your.
Because we're taking one to Antony today.
Yeah, we were going to try and catch up with
Well, it
Antony
was
today.
great. I loved hearing that. Thank you so much for writing that. So it's a great moment.